The regular meeting of the Painesville City Board of Education for December 9th is now called to order. Mrs. Samak, would you call the roll, please?
Dr. Humphries.
Here.
Ms. Parvas-Dolny.
Here.
Ms. Remington.
Present.
Mr. Tackett.
Here.
Mr. Webster.
Here.
And could we stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we need a motion to adopt this evening's agenda, please. So moved. Any revisions anyone needs to,
Dr. Humphries.
Yes.
Ms. Remington.
Yes.
Mr. Tackett.
Yes.
Mr. Webster.
Yes.
Ms. Parvas-Dolny.
Yes. Mr. Chakshi, would you see if anyone has signed in for an agenda item, please?
Sure. No one for the agenda.
Okay, thank you. Okay, moving on to item 3.1, we need a motion to approve the minutes of the regular meeting from November 4th.
So moved.
Second. Any questions or comments on the minutes from November 4th? Mrs. Seaman?
Ms. Remington.
Yes.
Mr. Tackett.
Yes.
Mr. Webster.
Yes.
Dr. Humphries. Ms. Parvas-Dolny.
Yes. And we need a motion to approve the minutes of the special meeting of November 19th.
So moved. Second.
Any questions or comments on that meeting? Mrs. Seaman?
Mr. Tackett.
Yes.
Mr. Webster.
Yes.
Dr. Humphries.
Yes.
Ms. Remington.
Yes.
Ms. Parvas-Dolny.
Yes.
I'm sorry, I'd like to abstain from voting on November, who voted November 4th minutes, I was not here.
Okay. Sure.
Okay, moving on to item 4, presentations. Dr. Engelhardt?
Yes, we're going to start the meeting with a couple of great things to celebrate. And for the first, I'll ask Ms. White to come forward with the presentation.
Good evening. First off, I'd like to start by thanking Dr. Engelhardt for letting me be able to expand and help these opportunities for students who have not graduated from Harvey High School on time. Over the last 4 years, this will be our 13th graduate who has not graduated the traditional way and has come back through the, calling the office, just asking what can they do, how can they help, how can I get my diploma, I'm really in need of it. And we go through every avenue to make sure those students still get a chance to come back and get their diplomas. So first of all, I'd like to start with talking about 2 students who aren't here, and then I'm going to end with one that gets to come today. So the first student who was not able to come due to work commitments, both of them were like that, is Brian Robinson. Brian Robinson was actually one of my students in the 8th grade. He's 29 years old and gets his diploma tonight. He has never given up. He's worked over the last 2.5 years. When he came to me, he needed 3 OGTs. And for anybody who knows anything about the OGTs, you had to pass all 5 to be able to graduate from high school. He had all of his classes, all of his coursework, passed everything, and passed 1 OGT. Then came to us and needing 3 more. by doing that, he passed the first 2 right away, and then he continued to struggle in science. Luckily, we found Kenan. So Kenan has been helping me to tutor these students over the last 2.5 years in the courses that they need for OGT. And he's done a wonderful job. So by doing that, it has really helped me to get more students, because I don't know if it's like an epidemic. As soon as we post, we're going to post Jessica's pictures tonight, and I guarantee I will have 3 or 4 phone calls in the next week. Help me, I need help. So that's why we've enjoyed to keep doing this. So Brian actually has a commitment. He's working 2 jobs right now, but now with his high school diploma, he's actually going to work with the Lake County workforce, and he's going to start going to Lakeland and working a program over there. The next one is Kusei Kihele, and I say it a little wrong. He actually moved here from Jordan and got stuck in a terrible loop of Ohio Department of Education's loop, and got stuck in the loop of, he came here speaking very little English, but he still was required to pass all 5 OGTs. He was a senior when he got here. He had 27 credits that transferred from Jordan. Not speaking the language, not knowing the language well, he struggled completely. His brothers and sisters are now still in school. He works 2 to 3 jobs trying to make that, but he has a barber's license from Jordan, and now he's on his way to get his barber's license here in the United States. So he's the other one. The last one is Jessica. Jessica's done amazing things. She was amazing here in Kansas City schools. One of the big issues she had was with science, which is what we always kind of see. Is some of it is when we were passed her science classes, did everything she was supposed to do. Once again, had a hurdle to get over. She kind of left for a while, didn't come back to see us right away. But finally decided that she wanted her high school diploma. It opens up more doors for them. They're able to do more opportunities at the different colleges that surround our town. So she wanted to do and get into a different program and to do something. So she came back and once again contacted through the board office, said, okay, what do I need to do? And the only thing we saw in there was she had to pass the science OGT. So once again, I called Kenan. Kenan needs some more tutoring. And Kenan tutored for us and worked really hard to get Jessica to pass. It took her 2 times, the last 2 times, but the last time she passed and did a great job. So we're really, really excited for Jessica. I wanted to leave you. It doesn't matter how slow or as you go, as long as you never stop and you keep going. All right. So very proud of all her accomplishments and excited to see where she'll go from here.
Okay, thank you and congratulations to everybody. Ms. Fife spoke to some of the hoops that our kids have to jump through in order to graduate now that we didn't have to, right? And particularly when we speak to the OGT test, which the state has now gotten rid of because they finally recognized that it was problematic. But these kids had to keep at it until they got over that hurdle. So we're very, very proud of them. We're pleased that we're able to provide those opportunities to open up wider paths through the attainment of their diploma. Next, we have another very positive thing to celebrate, and that is our Writer of the Week award. Now I ask Ms. Camper to come forward.
Good evening, everyone. I am happy to be here once again to celebrate some outstanding writing that is happening in our district. I'm happy to see so many faces in the audience, so I'll tell you really what Writer of the Week represents. We believe in the importance of writing across all curriculum, and we celebrate and we are proud to recognize Writers of the Week because we want to honor individual student pieces of writing that exceed our expectations and serve to inspire the Painesville City Schools community of writers. And I have two amazing writers with me tonight. I have Sophia and I have Maria. Will you please come down, ladies, and bring your writing? Thank you. This is Sophia. Sophia's fourth grade teacher, Ms. Rosenhall, submitted her story because she did a great job of creating an imaginative narrative about a new student at school. Not only is the story creative, but it teaches a great lesson about how to be kind to others and accept people for their differences.
And the new kid. I had the craziest day at school today. It was about 9:30 a.m. just when I got up from morning meeting. The principal, Mr. Brown, brought the new kid. She had antlers and a tail that touched the floor. She came to the front of the class to introduce herself. She said her name is Anna and she is from a planet named her stick. And this girl named Janice said that her stick was not real. She just said that to sound cool, but nobody believed Janice. They thought that Anna was telling the truth, and she was. I thought she looked weird, but then she sat next to me. We started working, and then it was lunchtime. In the lunchroom, everyone has assigned seats, and I sat next to my friends named Anaya and Jayana. However, today Anaya was not here, and Jayana was on vacation until tomorrow. So I was sitting all by myself. When Anna came in, everyone stared at her. However, Anna walked up to the lunch lady smiling with pride. The lunch lady gave Anna an assigned seat. It was at my table. At first we didn't talk, but when I asked how she felt going to this school, she said that her other school kids would bully her because she could not fully look like a human. She said it felt nice to have everyone think that she is cool. I asked if she wanted to be my friend, and Anna said yes. Then it was time for recess.
And that's where we stopped. So we're going to have to go to the website to read the rest of the Our next writer of the week is Maria. Maria is in first grade, and her teacher, Mrs. Dunn, is here. And she submitted her journal entry because she worked very hard on her journal writing and wrote a personal narrative during her daily 5 work on writing time. She wrote it on her own without any help from the teacher. Maria is a hard worker and showed her perseverance and determination. They want to see you. Okay, go ahead. Thank you, everyone.
Great job, Sophie and Maria.
Outstanding. Keep up the great work. We're very, very proud. Our next item under presentations is a presentation of the proposed stadium improvements. Mr. Bell?
All right. See if this works. Will. So, if you want to move away from the screen a bit so you can look.
You guys can see on your screen.
Oh, you'll be able to see on your screen?
No, no, it's not.
I don't have the preview.
You can move down. Is that right?
All right. Color's a little off, huh? Because of the way the screen is. Give me 1 second. No. anyway, this is kind of an update to the stadium improvement project we've been working on. Mr. Costell and Mr. Webster have been working on this as part of their responsibilities. What's that? Mr. Tackett, I'm sorry, what did I say? Costell, I'm sorry. Well, Costell started, he was there for one meeting. So generally at this point, we're looking at approving the recommendation to move forward with the contractor to do some of those renovations. With that, you can see all of that there. So anyway, so right now we've done the replacement of the field, that's completed. The renovation of the press boxes, the replacement of the sound system, and also the bleacher wrap. So what we have left are the relocation and replacement of fencing, and the renovation of the locker room. Those two things are both covered under this bid that we're talking about. Now the renovation of the locker room, a lot of that is mainly to bring up to code and also compliance issues.
To meet the Title IX compliance issues.
And then the fencing, one of the reasons we're replacing, not only because it's old and rusty and decrepit, but also it's too close to the track. So we're moving it 3 feet away for
New
safety reasons.
regulations for this type of the use dictate that it be 3 meters away from the track. So the whole fence will get bumped out so that we meet those regulations.
I don't know if you want to talk a little bit about this, Melissa.
So, this is the further out view of the renovations that we're working to propose. First of all, there's new fencing, new concrete going around the outside area here. We're putting a few additions on, which we'll go into more detail in the next few slides. There's a storage area here. There's an addition to the concession stand over here. Some interior renovations, again, those will get discussed in a few minutes. And then we're adding new ticket booths and a small addition to the existing locker room. So with the new fencing that will come up, we're figuring to have people enter and get tickets from this booth and from this booth, and then the visitors will come in and go around to this side, and the home will come in and go around this way. With the addition of some of the new concrete around that ticket booth, it was taking away one of the handicap spaces, and at that point in time, we realized that the handicap spaces are not currently meeting code. There needs to be a striped space between the spaces, so we're redistributing those spaces around. There were originally a total of 5 spaces, so we're redistributing those around that parking area.
Is that enough handicap space per total parking area?
It should be, but we'll verify.
Yeah, because I know that you have to meet that compliance.
Right,
as
right.
well.
And we're planning on doing some landscaping around this, this concrete pad, just to hopefully help direct people better into those ticket booth areas.
No, I just wanted to, I think zoom in a little bit. You don't want to zoom anymore? Okay.
Okay, so as previously noted, this is the storage area over here that will have access from the existing weight room, and there will be an overhead door to enter in there. Over here is in addition to the concession stand. There was a lot of issues with the concession stand as it was, just being too small, needing some more space. There won't be any actual equipment, just new windows and a new countertop in there. Up here, let's go here first. We are adding we're adding a referee space in there. That was one of the things that the school requested, was adding a space for for a referee room, so we kind of reconfigured what was there originally, which was just lockers around the edges was what was there originally. So we reconfigured this, and then to make up for some of that lost space. I don't know Apple computers.
Great.
Who does?
So we're, to make up for some of that lost space, we're adding a little bit of extra space back here to the locker room and then a training area. And this originally was the women's locker room. This is gonna change to the JV/visitors locker room. The women will take over one of the previous men's locker rooms, which is why we have this stuff going on over here. There were only urinals in that restroom because it was only for boys. So we needed to add some toilets in there for the girls that'll take over that space.
So the current visiting room locker room is now gonna be the female locker room. And the current varsity locker room is gonna stay for men's, so the men's and female locker room.
So this gives the women equal space to what the men have. And then just
Where are the public restrooms?
the public.
They're still there.
Yeah.
In the same place?
Yeah.
Yep.
This, what is this, like a one font
There.
there? I can't read it.
Go to the next page. Go to the next page.
Here, I have it up here on the screen, so the public restrooms are in the same spot. So it's-
Okay, I say we moved up to a 4-point now, so.
Alright, so this is I'm sorry, go
No,
ahead.
that's okay. And then kind of one of the other projects we're planning on doing is to clad the building in metal, which there's some samples of the actual product up here and color samples for what we're figuring to use here. And this is a proposed rendering of how we're kind of figuring it to be. Figured the ticket booths should be in the school's red color so as to attract people, let them know that that's an important piece so that they know where to go to buy their tickets. The other piece that you can see on the screen up there that they can see in their renderings on the last page is the concession stand is also red, and then we kind of alternated grays on the rest of the building.
There you go.
Okay.
Kind of see the session stand, right?
So, and that's,
Kind of give it a brand new look, and also it's gonna hide all those new improvements, so we don't, not trying to match stone and things like that.
right.
It's all look like one big building. I'm showing this side too because it's actually interesting. The other side is gonna be that storage garage. All right.
Any questions?
Yeah, I have a question that hadn't occurred to me before. I'm looking at page 2 of the document handout you've got. Can you describe to me when our visitors come to play our football team, which is, right now they're in the space that would be the women's is gonna be the women's locker room going forward so that we're even on both sides. Tell me how the visitors are gonna exit the building to get to the playing field. Are they gonna go to the toilet room, 109, or are they gonna come into the women's locker room?
Oh, they're gonna come out the bottom there.
Or they could easily go out this door up here.
They can go out that way,
So
but
they
we,
can go out that way and go around, or they can go back out.
Point to me again. Actually.
but then also on the bottom there.
So yeah, I don't think they'd want to come out the side and go all the way around past the public restrooms. That's not gonna work.
Well,
There's also.
if they're a visitor, they're gonna go back around the back of the building.
We have the front door and the front still there.
But yeah, the front door is still there, it's not leaving.
So they'll just come down and, just like they do right now.
So so just to be clear, they're gonna come from they're at 111, point to 111. They're gonna come down existing corridor 106, 108. They're gonna come out that door, right there, and then out that door. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
Make a clear signage signage on all this so people know?
Yeah, but we're gonna wait on signage until most of the exterior's done, so that we can have an idea of where it needs to go, what needs to look like.
From a public standpoint, it's actually a little bit simplified from what's there now. It's hard to see, it's not shown on that plan, but if you look at the first page, basically, this area here is only available to the athletic teams. The fence over here stops all public traffic into that area, and then the fence over at this end stops any of the visitors from coming through here. So players, coaches, and referees are the only ones in this place, plus concession workers. But so
So that's new, because you could always go. in
correct. But because of the rule on the fence being a certain distance from the track,
No, I
this
think it's a
isn't.
great idea.
It would come across here, and it would block. This plan, actually, the edge of the building is here, not back here.
Right.
So, that fence would make that space in there too narrow to have public traffic going
Sure.
through.
Yeah.
So it'll make things a little more simple for crowd control and for team use. So in that way, it's very positive.
Ask another question. You'd used the word 3 meters back, but I think, or do you mean 3 feet? Because
No,
it looks,
it ends up being 42 inches. For some reason, I don't know why they're in
That's a
meters
meter.
and not feet.
okay, so 42 inches, so 1 yard, no meters at all, but 1 yard 8 inches. Because that 3 meters is about 9 feet, that's not what it's showing. I just want to make sure we're on the same page, because this looks like you've got it set back about
Yeah, it's
a little more than a
42
foot.
inches.
Yeah.
And this is just a graphic representation. It's not meant to be to scale.
Exactly, thank you for pointing that out.
So where we were non-compliant was in the size of the facilities for the female athletes and the restrooms? Both of those areas?
Previously, where they were, the restrooms were fine, but when we moved them to give them the appropriate, size and essential equal facilities and also equal access to the trainer,
Okay.
then we needed to update those restroom facilities.
Just taking urinals out, so the toilets. Do you want to go over the bid tabulation or anything like that?
Just a question, the gates, the main gates,
Mhm.
are they still going to be
Yep.
operational there?
They will be. We're putting in new gates up there. It'll be a double 6 feet, so 12 feet wide gates will open up, but, so for free events, that will be opened up. But when we're expecting people to buy tickets, then we'll keep those closed and have them go in and buy their tickets and go in that way.
Okay, and how will they exit?
They can exit through,
Will it open
that
up?
can get opened up, that can exit through.
Okay.
And then there's also space on the other side that the other gate can open up for the visitors choose to exit.
So
that
after
way.
everybody's paid and is inside, then the gates will, for people to.
I would say.
At some point they can.
Yeah, at some point.
Maybe in the later portions of the game, towards the end of the games, whatever games they are.
I can just see people trying to get out, well, people are buying tickets and trying to get in.
There's certainly gonna be a learning curve
Sure.
for everybody who's used to going into those gates, and that's the way you do everything, but
Right.
that'll change everything.
Oh, sure. You want a good signage as far as no animals allowed inside and all that fun stuff that's
Doesn't mean they'll listen.
big and, well, if they come in with an animal, then that's our fault.
I don't mean to put you on the spot, Mr. Wallen, but as the AD, how do you feel about?
I love it. It's gonna save me a lot of issues, especially with the Title IX issue, so it needs to be addressed. I like the fact that our visiting team will be able to go right into a locker room, and they have access to come and get on and off the field, with private access. And obviously, you know, by the time it's time for them to leave, their bus will be right there at the gate for them. So it creates a great situation for us. Added storage was very much needed, so that's a plus. Concession area, it's a nightmare between band concessions and then my concessions, what I do. There was really no storage. So now that area that was originally the concession area will become storage. So now we have a lot more room to work and keep our things in one place. So I really like that.
Do you have any concerns, Mr. Walling, about kind of coming through that toilet room as the football team comes through and coming through that space?
So what we do is we always make sure we have enough staff on site during game time. So I do have a site manager, and one of the responsibilities of the site manager is to make sure that the officials are taken care of and that the team is taken care of.
Mm-hmm.
So we work well together. So I'll tell him or her, whoever they may be, that I'll take care of the officials. I'll get them in and out of the locker room. You take care of the team. So we always make sure we have enough people on task to make sure we have everything. I would not want the football team to walk around with a visitor. That's just not going to happen. That's why Sean and I made sure there's going to be access through that building to get them on and off the field.
Mm-hmm. What's the flooring like in these hallways?
It's going to have to be concrete.
Yeah,
Everywhere you go, you're going to have to walk.
Everything's sealed concrete except for in the actual shower areas.
Where there it's tiled. On that shower room.
And compared to some of the places we go and play, we're being very nice.
What do they do?
We walk miles.
We could make them do push-ups.
They house us in areas where we really lose a lot of time during halftime to get to and from.
Mr. Bell, you had 3 bids submitted and you obviously chose the lowest bid.
Yeah, our recommendation is to choose the lowest bid. I don't know if you want to speak to their qualifications and their references.
Yeah, Zerby Construction, if you're familiar with the Menor Amphitheater, they did that. They worked with CT Consultants. They worked with several other, I believe Berea, and there was one other that I can't remember off the top of my head right now. But speaking with all of these people, people at the city of Berea, people at the city of Mentor, the architect that he worked with at CT Consultants, glowing reviews. Everybody said how good he was to work with, how easy everything was, and
He's apparently able to be lower because he doesn't sub as much out as other contractors do.
yeah, they do a lot of the site work themselves, which is a fairly large portion of our project. So
We're also not doing the metal roof. The roof we have now is only 5 years old. And currently, we're not going to do the stadium lighting because what we intended to do is much more expensive than what we really need to do right now. And we'll wait on.
there won't be any visual impact. You won't, like, you'll lighting wise, you'll see more light, obviously, but to look at them, you won't.
It won't look
Nobody's going to
fancy up there.
understand.
Yeah. Some schools have these flat panels and things, and we just can't afford them. Maybe the next phase of renovations. So we're looking at $667,603 to do everything that we described tonight.
Although I'll note that will probably change, given the design of the ticket entry area has changed from
Since when it was bid.
from
Yeah,
bidding time,
exactly.
so they're gonna have to produce some revised documents and then go, give that back to the contractor to adjust their pricing to match up to that. I don't see it being a big cost increase, but it'll likely be something.
Right.
There's a point I'd like to kind of re-emphasize, as far as zoning, which is just so that members of the audience is reflected in the minutes, that the reason we're pursuing this is a Title IX obligation, which is a federal obligation to provide equal access to men and women and provide them exactly similar facilities. So we have been out of compliance with this federal law, and I think it's really important that we, as a community and as an organization, maintain that. And then it made sense to kind of do the other things that we're talking about at the same time. But as you think about what the driving force or impetus of the why right now, that would be the reason. Is that accurate?
Yes, it is.
That in the Ohio Schools Athletic Association requirement for the fence in relation to the track, that's a new regulation that's coming out and going into force, I believe, this coming spring or next year?
I don't know.
It's next year.
It's next year,
We're doing it now.
so, right, we're doing it now to get ahead of that curve, but that's the other driving force behind this is an OSHA regulation.
Thank you, Mr. Webster.
Anything else? All right, well, thanks.
Thank you.
Okay, under item 5, new business, for the organizational meeting, we need to appoint a president pro tem for the January 13th meeting, which you need to know will start at 6:30 before the regular meeting. So we need to appoint a president.
I move we appoint our president to be president pro tem.
Second.
That would be you. Thank you. That was easy.
That's not an item that we vote on, correct?
I don't believe.
There's no motion or anything? Okay. And then our next regular meeting will be that same date, January 13th at 7 p.m. Now, at last month's meeting, we mentioned, because we didn't think that Ms. Remington was going to be here today, we had a cake last meeting. She didn't want a cake again this meeting.
I can't eat cake, I'm on a puree diet, okay,
So we are, again, bidding farewell to her as she concludes her 4-year term.
And
welcoming Katie Briggs, who will be joining us in January.
Yes, right.
Thank you for your years of service, Ms. Remington.
My honor, privilege, and pleasure, most of the time. No, it has. Both my children are a product of Painesville City local schools, from preschool all the way up. And I enjoy being involved, believe in our schools very strongly.
Okay, and you will note the 2020 meetings, the dates are listed there. The only exception of a second Monday of the month is in November when there is a capital conference in Columbus. Okay, item 6, Ms. Remington, since we didn't think you were going to be here for the legislative report, Mr.
If you're
Webster.
ready, if Mrs.
Oh,
Remington
no,
is
oh,
prepared.
no. I think this is good practice for you.
Because I was hoping that you were, that, not good.
Do your report.
I thought maybe,
No?
okay, well, you can critique me
Okay.
and help me, coach
I
me
shall.
to be better. So, so a few things to update you on from, kind of, this is from our OSBA report. So there is a report card study committee. The committee last week met for the final time ahead of its December 15th deadline to submit recommendations for revising the state report card. During the hearing, the committee heard testimony from Ross May, the CIO of Canton City, and Chad Henderly, the CIO and process officer for Toledo City. What they prepared and presented was an urban network report card, try to say that fast if you're me, that describes a little bit about a proposal to kind of change the report card, which makes, I will tell you, a lot more sense to me as a board member of an urban district that focuses on a more holistic representation of how districts and schools teach the whole child. It focuses on how the report card should measure and reflect the progress and opportunities in each district in the school, and create a report card that represents the state, district, and individual schools' plans to move forward with a strategic plan. So there are some guiding principles behind this. I want to make sure it's really clear. But the thing that struck me the most as I reviewed this material was the alignment between high grades on the state report card and income for the individual district. So if you look at the districts, according to this report, that have an A, they have a high income rate, something in the range of $68,000 a year. So that's what it takes, that's what it's like if you are in a district that makes an A. But if you're in a district that makes an F, you have an average income of about $28,000 a year. I, as a board member, find that to be frustrating and kind of wrong, so I guess I just thought I'd share that and get off my soapbox. But I'm glad they're taking a hard look at this, and I would encourage anyone to take a look if they would be interested. I hope it bodes well for us, because I think we're doing great work here. And part of this, what they're talking about in this report, is talking about the progress that kids make. So not just, you know, you got to start at the starting place. So trying to be a little bit fair. So I appreciated learning a little bit more about that. In the Senate Education Committee, the committee last week accepted a substitute version of Senate Bill 34 during its 6th hearing. The bill revises school employment policies and revises procedures regarding educator licensure and conduct. And specifically, these are talking about when we're hiring people who are, have had disciplinary actions, and also a number of other things that kind of really focus on making sure our educators are doing the right kinds of things. So that's moving forward. Also, the committee held its 4th hearing on Senate Bill 121, which requires the State Board of Education to develop K-12 health education standards and revises laws regarding venereal disease education standards and curriculums. So there's a few things specifically around that they're being asked to take a look at. And then finally, last week, the Education Committee held a 2nd hearing on House Bill 76. This is one that's really talking about how we're able to put election notices and levies and the information that's communicated to the public and how it's communicated, so that I think the goal is to make sure it's communicated in a fair way. So it requires property tax election notices and ballot language to convey a property tax levies rate in dollars for each $100,000 of fair market value, instead of in dollars for each $100 of taxable value. It requires election notices and ballot language to display the estimated amount the levy would collect annually. And it prohibits any portion of the property tax question from being printed on the ballot in boldface type or with differing font size. In other words, focus on this one thing and make it really bright in front of us. Be even and expect people to read through the whole thing and make sense of it, I think is what that rule is. So again, that's already 2nd committee, or second hearing in that committee, and we'll see where it goes from there. That's my report.
Mr. Webster, you got a tough act to follow, and you did a great job.
Thank you. You made me feel good about myself. We're all working on something.
Okay, item 7 is the treasurer's consent agenda. We need a motion here, please.
So moved. Second.
Okay, all right, my first item is donations that were presented to the district. One was for the drama club and another one was for the Lady Raider basketball program. The second item is the second part of the two-step process to put the financing district resolution back on the ballot. The official count was that we, financing district level failed by 30 votes. So the other 3 districts along with us are going through the same process that we are to get everything back on the ballot for the March election. And then the third resolution that we have is, we have to accept the amounts and the rates in order for the county auditor to collect taxes on all the existing levies that we have out there. So it's a requirement that they make the Board of Education approve that. So, the Budget Commission went through and they approved the rates. So now we just have to board approve it in order for that to, as I even collect the dollars on the levies. Any questions on any of that?
I do not have any questions.
We sufficiently discussed that at the last meeting, didn't we?
I think so.
Okay. Mrs.
Okay.
Freeman?
Mr. Webster?
Yes.
Dr. Humphries?
Yes.
Ms. Remington?
Yes.
Mr. Tackett?
Yes.
Ms. Parsoni?
Yes.
Okay, section 8 is the reports for the month of November, 8.1 to 8.5. As I noted in my board update, there was significant spend this month between our bond payments and we had 3 payrolls. So we spent like $6 million last month, which is extremely high for us, but with having a 3 payroll month and my bond payments, it was a heck of a month. So if you look at that, you're thinking, wow, that's why.
Yeah.
But you did warn us.
Yeah.
Yes, yes.
Okay, any discussion on those reports? Okay, item 9.1, Dr. Engelhardt?
Yeah, 9.1 is an MOU with our classified union, with our retirement of one of our members.
Okay, and we need a motion for this, please.
So moved. Second.
I think this was pretty clear, the way you explained it.
Dr. Humphries?
Yes.
Ms. Remington?
Yes.
Mr. Tackett?
Yes.
Mr. Webster?
Yes.
Ms. Parsoni?
Yes. Item 10, the superintendent's agenda. We need a motion here, please.
So moved.
Okay, 10.1 is the stadium improvement project bid recommendation letter. 10.2 is an agreement with REA. 10.3 is a contract for servicing students with disabilities with Bedford City School District. 10.4 is a memorandum of understanding with PCTA. 10.5 is an MOU with OPSI for bus garage mechanic position. 10.6 is a resolution declaring transportation impractical. And 10.7 is the certification and approval of our December graduates.
Just a question. We send students with particular needs to different places. Is there, for us, is there a list of all the different schools that provide special services and that's how we choose where to send, or is that pretty much done for us, or, you know, why Bedford, why here, why there?
Yeah, so what it is we have a student who has a particular disability. We are responsible for serving that student.
Right.
And we have a responsibility for serving that student, even if we don't have the resources in the program.
Right.
So we're required to facilitate
Right.
those services. So yeah, different districts are able to offer different programs. You know, for example, I think that it's like Orange City schools that have a hearing impaired program. That's like a niche program. It's not something a lot of districts can offer. So,
Yeah.
so as far as a list, to be honest with you, I think that
You
in
just
student
kinda know.
services, I think that they network and have awareness of who has what program. But when that need arises, it's incumbent upon us to go out and find it.
Right, right. I just wondered if there was a particular directory of, you know, specific services so that you could find.
I don't know that there formally is, but the folks who are in the student services world all, you know, work
Yes.
together and network. Yeah.
Okay,
And
thank you.
we don't have any special units here that would receive kids from other districts.
I don't believe that we have any out-of-district kids
Because
enrolled.
we used to,
We
back
used
in the
to,
day, we
yeah.
used to receive students in the severe behavior handicap.
Right. Okay, thank you. Just curious. Gotta get all my questions in. Yes.
Mr. Patrick?
Yes.
Mr. Webster?
Yes.
Dr. Humphries?
Yes.
Ms. Marzoni?
Yes. And for item 11,
Yes, 11.1, we have a first reading of a policy, and 11.2 is certification of nutrition standards. Are there any questions on those items?
and our nutrition program is running extremely well again this year. Okay, and those are not items we need to vote on. So moving along to item 12, personnel, we need a motion here, please.
So moved.
12.1, we have retirement and resignation. 12.2, we have employment. 12.3 is change of assignment. 12.4 is leaves. 12.5 is salary column change. 12.6 is stipends. 12.7 is class size reimbursement. 12.8 is certified substitutes. And 12.9 is classified substitutes.
What is the norm size for a classroom? At what point do we pay for extra? Is it 25 per class or
We pay over 30 at the 612. Can you confirm that, Mike?
30?
Is that where it is?
30?
Yeah, average.
Right.
Now, our contract reads that classes should not exceed 25.
Mm-hmm.
Most of our classrooms throughout the district are not. We just run into some problems, particularly at the high school, whenever we have some courses that kids are repeating. Sometimes those numbers stack up a little bit. But when you look across our elementary classrooms, most of our elementary classrooms are under 20 right now. That's what we try.
Right.
Dr. Engelhardt, I have a question about item 12.6 stipends.
Yeah.
So that is in addition to Mr. Fleshman's regular salary? He
Yeah,
gets this
that's
for,
that's additional time.
okay.
Yeah. And that is grant funded. It's part of our, I forget which grant, but targeted to the high school for kind of credit recovery, extra support. So that is kind of like evening school.
Okay. So is his day longer than the average teacher?
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's additional time.
Okay. All right.
I have a question. Can you tell me a little bit about the library clerk position? Is that a new position? And I know that we have somebody who's spending part-time running the Hardy Hub, which is where the library was located. We have a person from Moreland Library who is working also in the library on a partnership agreement. So tell me about the library clerk, please.
Yeah, so the library clerk is, it's a position that's evolved. It is, it's sort of a partial clerical position as well. So there is defined responsibilities in that job description of assisting with the attendance office as well. I can say that all of those people aren't in the library all day at the same time.
No, we don't actually have a library, we have a hub. So that's what I'm trying to
We
get
have-
clarity about.
Media center, yeah.
But are there students in there on a regular basis every period of the day?
Yes. Yeah.
And she takes care of checking out books and.
Do we still do that?
That's part,
Do we
that's,
still do that? I mean,
we have the capability to do that.
No, that's not what I asked. It wasn't my
Check out
question. My
books.
question is, are we checking out books, or are we taking books back here?
I,
We do library stuff.
I can't say with confidence that that happens. It's something that I can check on. We have books available for kids. And kids access these books, not doing formal checking.
I'm just curious, because is this a new add to staff position? That's the part I'm confused about. Is this a new add to staff position?
It's a position involved.
This is an existing position that we're just replacing. Who held this role before?
Most recently, it was Ms. Haffa.
Okay, great.
And prior to that, it was Mrs. Harrison.
right
Okay.
here. When did Jim
That
Davies
helps.
fit in?
Oh, long time. And Maddie Whitford, long time.
How old I am. Been around, yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm glad to hear we have more library services than I actually knew about.
Yeah.
So, I think libraries are
That's why
important.
I was
Thank
a
you
librarian.
for clarity.
Okay.
Yeah, I have to do that.
All right, Mr. Tackett,
Yes.
Mr. Webster,
Yes?
Dr. Humphries, Ms. Remington,
Yes.
Ms. Barzoni,
Yes. Okay, professional visits. We need a motion here, please.
Second?
13.1 is professional visits paid out of the general fund, and 13.2 is professional visits paid from grant funds.
Can you tell me about what ESCI certification is?
Thank you, Mr. Webster. I was going to ask the same thing.
That's about $7,000 worth of certification.
Corn, ESCI, Coley.
Oh, yeah, okay. So yes, that is part of our developing per capita grant with J. College. That is exclusively grant funded. It is part of our Educators Rising program and the research that goes with it. So part of that project involves some like interest and personality inventory assessment. That, again, this is on the research side of that project. But that is the system for that, or the certification for administering that system assessment.
And this is corn ESCI certification. Miss Andrews and Miss Houston didn't win the same, or brothers.
Oh, no.
It's not Nicole Andrews corn and Erica Houston corn,
Those
okay.
are making
Got it, thank you. Okay, I just want to make sure that we were.
But again, that's 100% grant funding specifically out of that project, and that was part of what was related to that project.
Corn fair.
Got it.
Mr. Webster,
Yes.
Dr. Humphries.
Yes.
Ms. Remington,
Yes.
Mr. Tackett,
Yes.
Ms. Barzoni,
Yes. Item 14 is hearing of the public on non-agenda items. And Mr. Chauncey?
Yeah.
Do you see if there? I should read the statement.
Yes, we have two.
Okay.
Ms. Collins and Mr. Wise.
Okay, so the Board of Education recognizes the value to school governance of public comment on educational issues and the importance of allowing members of the public to express themselves on school matters of community interest. As outlined in Board of Education Bylaw 0169.1, the board shall provide a period for public participation at all regular meetings, and such participation shall be permitted only as indicated on the order of business for that meeting. This typically occurs at 2 points in the agenda. The first opportunity occurs during hearing of the public on agenda items. This portion is designed for comment on specific agenda items under consideration by the Board of Education. The second opportunity occurs during hearing of the public on non-agenda items. This portion is designed for comment on school matters of community interest. Guidelines for public participation include the following. Attendees must register their intention to participate in the public portion of the meeting upon their arrival at the meeting. Each statement made by a participant shall be limited to 5 minutes duration unless extended by the presiding officer. All statements shall be directed to the presiding officer. No person may address or question board members individually. The complete set of rules for public participation is contained in Bylaw 0169.1 and is available at all meetings of the Board of Education. They may also be found online at www.pcls.net. So who is our first speaker, Mr. Chowshi?
Melissa Collins.
Okay. And you would come up here, Melissa, to speak, please? Okay, so Melissa, you need to tell us your name, where you reside, etc.
My name is Melissa Collins. I live in Kingsville. My son is a senior here in Harvey. I'm actually here on behalf of the students that are still left, that are going to be left here in Harvey and in the football program. And my dissatisfaction with the football program this year was beyond anything that I could even describe. My son is a senior here, and on senior night, he didn't play one play of defense. He's being recruited for defensive lineman. The head coach had a freshman start on defensive line over my son. Why? He wasn't given an answer. They decided to change the defense the day of the game. This might seem trivial to you guys, but it's very important to me and to my son because he loves football and he loves Harvey. And he didn't want to leave Gainesville City Schools from when he was at Heritage because I was going to take him out of the district. And I decided not to because he didn't want to. He wanted to stay here with his friends where he grew up. We've been here in the city of Gainesville for 16 years. And, so it just, I feel like the coach, head coach, coaching staff as a whole could have been more productive as to recruiting these players or even just going to a scouting event, which apparently occurred last week that our head coach wasn't at. Trying to engage more kids, trying to bring more kids to the football team and have them, participate in this sport that has helped so many people become better, just people all around. And I'm not saying that my son is gonna, be the best football player on the planet and go to the NFL. I'm just saying there could have been more opportunities presented to him. He's a very good student. He's always on the honor roll or the merit roll. He does not fail school, so to have a student who is academically well and can play football, and you don't try to do anything with that person, it feels like a failure to me, and it feels like a failure to him. And he's kind of upset about that, and luckily I know people in the football world, and I have backup plans for him, but his head coach and his school should have helped him, in my opinion. And, you know, his middle school coach, Roger Coffey, you know, they did wonders in middle school, and then you come to high school and it doesn't transition well at all. And, you know, like I said, my son's done, so I'm not here for my son anymore. I'm here for the kids that are coming up into high school that want to stay in Painesville City but are looking to leave the district because the coaching staff at Harvey is not up to par. You know, I don't know what else to say besides that. I mean, my dissatisfaction with the program has been, you know, pretty bad, you know, to be honest. And, you know, Mr. Walling, he's been great. He hasn't had, you know, I've talked with him about certain issues and, you know, I've even sent emails, but nothing really changed. And I'm hoping that maybe with me being here and it not benefiting me directly, might make something change for the upcoming year.
Thank you very much. Mr. Chauncey?
Yeah, Mark Wise.
Okay, Mark?
Hello all. It will be my second time speaking at this meeting. I was out there at the choir concert actually, that's where two of the boys just came from. There are also two of the boys that a lot of people are concerned about. And it's not just them, it's a class of them coming up. Behind them there's a 7th grade class coming up. Behind them there's a 6th grade class coming up. Before I even get to everything I'm speaking about, while we were sitting, or while you were sitting here talking, I had my younger one sitting there whispering.
Are you really going to say?
Whispered, "Are we really going to send us to Harvard?" And I just looked at him like, so I'm here, I'm trying to make a change, I'm trying to do this. Okay, that's not good. That's not good at all, that there are children walking around this city and they're already thinking in their head, I'm going to go to Perry. I want to go try and go to Lake Catholic. When we go out to Cleveland Heights. These are children, let alone the families from them. Same children that are walking in your schools. Same children that you want to have red or pride. They don't even believe in it. But they think that they can help change it. The coach, as you said, you have in place, that's completely unacceptable. I think he's, what, 5 and 26? We have all these stories from parents who have went through this already, which I know her, along with a lot of other ones where their kids felt defeated during the season. Not just showing up on a Friday and losing a game is, he don't care about us. I talked to a booster earlier who had 2 children play. And I just wanted to get an input, just how was your experience like? He's like, that guy don't care and he don't know what he's doing. He's here for a check and try and get to a new position. I know people from other schools that sit on boards, and this guy has already been filing applications to go to other schools. He didn't get them, but he was trying to get out. What does that say about her situation, standing up there and saying, you didn't care about our kids? Now, I got mine, who's about to come up. And I hear all these stories. Why should I send them up there to that? These kids deserve a chance. They deserve somebody that cares. They deserve somebody that don't look at them as just an X and an O, but a kid that, you know what, I want to see him become a man. I want to give him that opportunity. Something like, again, last week, I know about all of that kind of stuff. This coach doesn't tell him about any recruiting options. He ain't sending out tape. He's not doing anything. I'll use a kid that y'all had in the newspaper here for the last 3 years before this. How many offers did he get coming from Harvey? His family moved him his senior year and he'll be going to college based off a football scholarship. Meanwhile, if he'd stayed here, he just got pounded. Wouldn't even have had an opportunity. Coach wouldn't have been trying to reach out to schools, anything to that effect. You don't see this coach sending our kids to the 7-on-7s, which I actually go to. I have a friend that y'all gave him an award this year, or was it last year, Walter Anderson. I'll go with him when they go on their 7-on-7s and you see North, you see South, you see schools from all over the place, and this is what they're doing over the summer. I see it's 400 plus boys in the school, but when we show up to a game on a Friday, it's like 20-something kids on the sideline. I'm not just an average parent. I literally got my hands all over the city, all over this community, all over these kids. It's a lot of us that want to see a change for them. This group, you see some of the parents' faces here, they vowed they wanted to stick together. One could have been moved to Florida. The other one, like I said, I was prepared to move him this spring, along with his other ones, all his friends. We're going to do this together. I'm not going to send him to a program where he don't care. Academically, again, I believe in this school. My daughter was just sitting there. That's case in point, I believe in this school. Sports-wise, is, like I said at a meeting when he was first hired, it's like, you don't care. I said that to Mr. Hartman. It's like you don't care. You have a youth program out here, he literally practices right next to him. He doesn't reach out and talk or, hey, come over here, do this, that. Meanwhile, take Perry or Minner or something like that, their youth programs are coming up through the high school. That's their feeder programs. Most of these kids don't even know the coach's name. You have a middle school who's literally practicing on the same field as them. Same field. These kids are going to be your players next year. I do believe they told me after their last game, one game, he came and spoke to them. It was real quick, blah, blah, yakety smack. That's the first time he had spoken to them all season. Their last game of the season, they in the locker room and he said, oh, y'all done? You're seniors, or you're football or high school football players now. And they said they just looked at them crazy. All right, but we need to see a change, or it's going to be a lot of people.
Can I ask a question real quick? You mentioned that Mr. Spellmeyer has applied to other districts that you were aware of. Could you tell us what districts those were?
Will they get those people in trouble?
No.
Madison.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say, Madison.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you, thank you, Mr. Lynn.
Excuse me, I'm sorry. I didn't know I had to sign in, but can I speak on my son's behalf? That was a football player too this year.
Sure.
I just want to.
Okay, you need to come up here, you would need to sign the sheet there, please.
Okay.
Put my name on it.
My son is a freshman. My name is Mary Brown. My son is a freshman here at Harvey. He played varsity and JV. He got hurt during varsity with the Woodland game. No concern from the coach. He told him, get up, get back out there and play. My son had a collarbone, a fractured collarbone. But you never pulled him off the field the whole time. He was holding his arm, hurt. He ended up going to the hospital that night. He ended up getting released 3 weeks after to play again. Coach downgraded my son so bad, calling him worthless. He never practiced on JV. When there was an away JV game, he was never there. But when we had a home one, he would let his varsity team play instead of the JV. The way my son is not better than anybody else. He's a good football player though. He downgraded him so much, my son signed up to play wrestling and quit. He does not want any coach in Harvey anymore. He doesn't want to listen. Mark Wise right there was my son's coach for years. And he was my younger son that's coming up from Heritage. Both my kids want to leave. They don't want to come to Harvey. And it's all because of the head coach Spellbar. That's all I wanted to say, because my son doesn't even want to come to school anymore. He wants me to unenroll him and send him to Menor so he could play on a team and not be downgraded by the coaches. And it was only Spellbar, but now he has no trust in wrestling coach at all. So he quit. I spent money on shoes, wrestling equipment, and he quit because he didn't trust any coach because of Coach Spellbar calling him worthless. He left practice after that. He quit the last JV game because he got penalized multiple times. Everybody was getting the flag, but you were only screaming at my son and taking my son to the game. Why aren't you taking that child out or that child? It was only mine. My son quit in the middle of the game. So, because of Spellbar, he has no sportsmanship with the kids. Like he said, it's for a check. He doesn't care how that kid feels later after he walks off the field. And I'm a single mom, and I have to baby him, and it's going to be okay. We're not quitters. We're going to go back. Do you know how hard it was this year to make this kid go to football practice and football games? Because he felt like he was worthless, because that's what Spellbar told him. You're worthless. And I had to literally sometimes pull him to the field. You're not worthless. Get out there and play. Walt Anderson, Mark Wise, they all coached him. St. Gabe's. I wanted him to come here to stay in the district. He really, and my 8th grader, does not want to stay because of him. And that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Quick side note on hers, like for her son, I went to the parent day that he had, and I went there for her son. And I went out there and we did one quick little thing, and then I sat there while her son just sat on the sideline for the rest of practice, didn't do anything. Just sat there, and it was like 5 or 6 of them, they literally came out, and it's like, are you coaching them or are you not?
Did you sign in also?
Okay, hold on one second. Sorry, gotta do this to be fair.
And your name?
My name is Ian Badley, and I'm here about the football coach too. I had to write my stuff down because last time I was just all over the place.
Okay, did you say Ian?
Yes, ma'am. B-A-D-L-E-Y. And I guess I can say, like, my little paper is mostly like questions of why he isn't. December 4th, they had a college recruiting night at St. Ignatius. Over 40 high schools was there. They Catholic, St. Ignatius. These are all schools that want my son to come play there for his freshman year. They've already been coming. We went to test for him to go to school for testing because of this football coach here. Our football coach was not there to help none of the kids from the schools that were there with their anything. The seniors, the juniors, none of them. And then, why didn't he come to the sports award for the middle school? I still only seen this man. I've been seeing, I'm sorry, sir, I don't know what your name is.
Josh.
Josh. Mr. Josh, he's been at the basketball games. I've been seeing him. Thank you, was much appreciated. But I still haven't, seen this football coach, even the basketball coach for Harvey comes to the basketball games and stuff like that. And I don't understand why he doesn't want to be a part of with the middle school kids or help them with their transition to the whole high school thing, because our record was better than the high school. I'm sorry, we lost one game. They lost me. And then what else did I want to say? For more than half the season, the coach never wished the boys good luck when they loaded the bus or when they got off the bus for anything wins. I'm talking about our middle school kids, not the high school kids, because our kids would be practicing on the field while those kids would be there. Sometimes we wouldn't start practice on time because he won't get off the field. But whatever. What else? My son also heard that the varsity coach told the varsity players, don't talk to the middle school team, don't waste your time with them. You have to get ready for Friday night. But the high schoolers was not on that. They would speak to the kids, you know, let them know, encourage the kids better than the coach would, and take time out with the kids better than the coach would. And that's all I have to say today. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Patty. Is there anyone else that had signed in to speak?
Yeah, we have one more on here, Tora Jones.
Okay.
Hello, I'm Tora Jones. I moved here, I live in City of Painesville, I moved here from down south, 04. I come from a background of where we kind of followed the rule as far as with the sports program. I'll take, for example, we started mini league, junior high, high school. Everyone kind of worked together. I'm not here more so to blame anyone. What I want to know is, I've coached at Harvey. I've graduated 3 kids out of Harvey. One also a bachelor's degree out of Baldwin Wallace. What I've seen over the years is there is no communication as far as if the high school knows, like I'll take for example these kids, they came from Lake Erie Storm. They went and they won the Midwest Championship. They had like undefeated seasons over the years. Me as a coach, if I were a varsity football coach, I would be at the at the little league saying, hey, they're coming to the middle school. They went to the middle school, had a winning season. It just needs to be more communication. It's like a stigma over Painesville that I've seen since I moved here, and that's like something I'm not used to because I come from down south where everybody works together. Then I sit back and I watch half of the kids that should be at Harvey, at Riverside, at Perry, and that's not what I want to do with my son. My brother is currently a commentator for ESPNU. He's a Florida State graduate. He has the opportunity to go down south and play. He doesn't want to. I don't want him to. I want him, he started out Lake Erie. He's playing Heritage, and I want them to stay together. The kids, like Mark said, the kids that are coming up from Heritage, they've been playing together since they were 6 years old. We as parents want to keep them together. I want to see Harvey's program flourish. I really do. I don't want to send my kid to Perry where he can get noticed or scholarship. I want him to stay here. But I just want to know, what can we do as parents, as a community, to change this program? And this is just something I've seen over the years, and like, even with coaching cheerleading, I know it has to, somewhere it starts at home as well, but we need to come together and not more so blame anyone, but what can we do to fix it? Because I really, my son enjoys it here. I like the community. I have a job where I travel, and not only the parents, the teachers, everyone helps me with him. He wants to stay here. I don't want to move him to Florida, which I know if he goes to Florida, you know, I know what the outcome could be, but they've been together since 6th grade. It's like 13, 14 of them. And within the next 2 years, it's over 20, 30 some kids that have been playing together since Little League that are all coming to Harvey. So I just want to know, what can we do as a community, as board members, as teachers, as parents to fix it? That's it, you know. And I've watched it over the years from coaching, and it hurts. It really hurts because, like I said, Painesville is a great city, but I don't want to send my kid to Perry. I don't want to send them to Riverside. I don't want them to stay at Harvard. I just want to know, what can we do together to fix it? That's it.
Thank you, Ms. Jones.
Thank you, Ms. Collins, Ms. Brown, Ms. Badley, Mr. Wise, and Ms. Jones. We did listen to everything you said last time, and we were very attentive to your comments this evening. Dr. Engelhardt is going to give you an update on what's been done since the last meeting, so you know that your concerns are not falling on deaf ears.
Yeah, I'd like to echo the appreciation of you participating. It is important. I appreciate you coming out here and giving your input and giving your feedback. I said it before, I'll say it again. We do have a lot of things we need to fix in our athletic program. We've got a lot of things we got to fix. Mr. Walling is working really hard on that. But there are a lot of factors involved when we look across the landscape of our athletic program. Coaching's one of them. Coaching, that's a really, really important one. But it's one of the things that we got to fix. And moving forward on decisions like these, and this one in particular, what I can tell you is we have to come to a consensus on a decision that we can support. When I say we, I mean myself, the Board of Education, high school administration, and the athletic director, Mr. Wall. We all have to get enough information together to where we can make that decision, where we're all on board and we can all support it 100%. So that, I'll just tell you, that's not going to happen tomorrow. We've heard you. We have, the board did meet with the coach to address some of the specific points that were brought up the last time that we had a board meeting, and we heard the concerns that you had. Mr. Walling has gone through the process of evaluating everyone involved, and he is still in the process of meeting with folks to go over what needs to change and see who's on board with making those changes and staying with the programs. So it's all happening. So I don't, sometimes whenever you don't see action right away, folks think, oh, well, they're not doing anything, or they don't care about it. But I want you to know that this is an ongoing issue. It's an ongoing conversation, and there is ongoing action happening with it. And we take it seriously, and we treat it as such. So again, I do appreciate you participating.
Can I ask a question, Dr. Engelhardt? If there's anyone in the community who has feedback on the program, who hasn't had an opportunity to share it here, they reach out to Coach Wallings and our athletic director and set up a time to share that feedback in an appropriate manner?
Well, with concerns, we want folks to go through the proper chain of command, whatever it is, and whatever that change is.
So what would that change be?
Assuming that an issue has already been brought to the coach's attention, then I would say that it would be appropriate to turn to Mr. Walling next.
Right.
Can I ask a question, sorry, based off of his question? Like, my father, my friend, a lot of people who've been, a Harvey alum who was at one of our games, everyone says that we could win, we're just out-coached. So going off of his question, can we, like, people from my family or, friends, can they talk to Mr. Walling or talk to you guys about what they've seen? And it's not just, because they know me, it's because they know football and they know coaching and they know how to, how it should be run, actually, I guess I should say. So, based off of his question, like, who could they talk to also express their concerns for the.
So I don't want to open the floodgates for Mr. Walling. But I would say that communication is probably most appropriate to Mr. Walling. Now, what I will say is, our concern, I haven't been anywhere yet where there wasn't somebody who didn't think that the coach made bad calls on the field, ran the wrong plays. You should have called a timeout there. So I don't want to get too far in the weeds and things like that. Our concern is we want our kids treated properly. We want our kids to have opportunity. And we want our kids to get benefit and enjoyment out of participating in our programs. I want to win as much as anybody, but that's the priority for me first, is those kinds of things. So I would say, just to kind of bring it together, I think it's appropriate to communicate things to Mr. Walling, but I don't want to get too far into the weeds with the technical kind of game management aspects and things
No,
like
it's not game management, it's just the overall coaching, it's overall players not being.
Taking the whole varsity team, letting them play on the JV team, and letting the JV sit and watch the varsity play a JV game.
If I might say something, since this is my last board meeting anyway. So watch out, Bill. Please, 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 do not lose track of the importance of a good academic program. I work for a college, Division II. I have seen, you know, a whole group of freshmen arrive on campus to play football, and you know what? The juniors and seniors get to play. It's just the way it goes. You know, I understand I'm not a sports person. I grew up before Title IX was put into effect, so that shows you how old I am. But my son played sports here, and my daughter did as well. I know coaches can be rough, and if you think they're rough here, wait till you get to college. But you know, it's wonderful that all these kids are together, but don't always think it's greener on the other side. And what really, really counts is academics, because regardless of how good they are and how many wonderful scholarships they get to go to college, if they get hurt, it's going to be the academics that get them through college. So
The whole
please
football
just
team.
don't lose sight
Oh,
of that part. And if they're doing well where they are, you know, get involved. You know, get involved. Have, you know, and I know it sounds exasperating. I can hear what you're saying.
What you're saying, honestly, really isn't what.
I know what you're saying.
Right.
You want all the kids to get together. You want a strong coach that's going to coach them
That's not gonna dog
positively.
them out, that's gonna take care of them, that's gonna help them,
And
that's
move
gonna
them
help them get to
forward.
college with their academics. Because all our football players got 3.0s or better. So
Right.
we're not worried about the academic
But they're
part,
doing
so,
well here, is my point.
you know. And it-
Academically.
Yes.
And so if everybody can work together to get the football part, you know, working well.
If I could jump in, I want to make a point that we all agreed on without reservation. When I was in high school, I played, you know, again, since I was like 8, whatever, and was a starter my senior year at Mentor, and was a starter substitute my junior year. We had teams that went to the playoffs. We were top, everybody feared us. Our coach, our head coach, destroyed the team because he demoralized a lot of the good players and a lot of the second string and third string by doing a lot of the same things that you're talking about. So, and I made this point very clear that we will not tolerate that. So, and everyone completely agreed. So I want you to understand all of that we wholeheartedly will not accept a coach that degrades his players or her players. We're in the process, as Mr. or Dr. Engelhardt said, that Mr. Walling is going through and doing evaluations, and we are working through that process. We take everything you say seriously, but we have to look beyond what is just what is presented here. We have to take the whole picture. So, you know, beyond, you know, there's really nothing else to say other than we are working on it. We believe in the same things that you say you believe in, and we are moving forward. So, you know, we're going to do the best we can to follow up and get to the right decision. We just have to have some confidence in us and allow us to do the job.
Speaking for everybody else, that's kind of something we want to hear. But now it's on your mind. So we've been thinking about this for years.
Well, and when we had this discussion, it was not a 5-minute discussion, it was a lengthy discussion.
This is important. I guess that's what I would say too, is just so that there's not one of us up here that isn't about the idea of building up, not tearing down our children. So, some of the allegations we've heard are disturbing, but it's also our duty as responsible, growing up board members, doing this thing up here that we haven't done before, but to try to make sure we're investigating properly and looking into things. We have a lot of confidence that everything's going to be right, and it's okay. We appreciate you being tuned in and here and ready to speak, and of course you're always welcome to be in these meetings.
And we want your children to stay with us.
Yeah, we have something that
We do.
other
We
schools
want
don't.
them to. Huh? Well, absolutely, absolutely, you have to protect them. And we'll do our best. Well, the board will do its best.
Yep.
And we're not overlooking sports. I play sports in my school. I feel sports taught me a lot, and I know the importance of capitalizing off all your kids' talents to get them where they need to be. Whether it's academics, it's sports, whether they're a good speaker, to capitalize off of all of that, because it really is a dog-eat-dog world, and we got to place our kids in a position to be the best they can be.
That's a great point. Every tool that we can give them, we're so well situated here where your kid can be in the school play and be in the choir and play on the softball team or play in the football team and do wrestling and gain these experiences compared to a school with 3,000 people in it where, kids are sending their kids off to some kind of private coaching thing, and I could never afford that for my kids. So, but we can give them the best we can here, and so we appreciate it.
And for those of you that know Dr. James Humphreys, her high school experience was at Harvey High School.
Yes, it was.
I also wanted to thank something Ms. Jones said, Ms. Jones, Tora Jones, is she talked a lot about collaboration.
Yeah.
I think to be, no matter what the outcome of this is and what our coaching staff looks like next year, collaboration and that communication, I think, is the most important thing. We're one community. We're a lot of different people, but we're one community and we can be real strong together that way. So thank you for your comments in that area.
I want to play off on a point on that too, though, because I know my kids didn't play football. In fact, neither of my boys played any sports in high school. My son wrestled in middle school. My daughter played several sports, but one of the things that they would tell me, and they're all graduating now in the last 4 years, one of the things that they would tell me is a lot of football players got made fun of in high school over the last 5 years, maybe 6. It is, but that's not an issue of the coach necessarily. I mean, certainly there's ways. Going back to that collaboration and a sense of community and what Mr. Webster and Dr. James Humphreys are talking about, it's full circle. It's on all of us to make sure that we all support our team. We don't tolerate bullying in any other regard. So why would we tolerate it when they're making fun of students who are working against the grain to try and do something? That's not acceptable either. So there's we have to look everywhere for where the problems are, because they exist in tiny little places sometimes that don't become, they become much more than just some tiny little thing. So I'm going to stop now.
Well, I'm glad to see Red Raider pride.
Yeah.
And that's what it's, we've got to build a culture. We have to build, right now, I think it's been identified that the culture is a little bit broken. But we got to find a way to build it.
Okay, moving on to Item 15, recognizing positive moments and/or events in our schools.
So very quickly, I want to point out, we just had our fall third grade reading scores come in. And I hate to talk about test scores, but it's just the world, it's our world, it's what we're accountable to. This year's fall reading scores, the highest that we've ever had. We increased 12 percentage points in terms of the students who have already met the promotion requirements for third grade reading guarantee. So this is, the kids take that third grade test in the fall, really before instruction. And we're already at, it's 54% of our kids that have reached the promotion threshold for the end of the year. So massive growth. Okay, so all these things that we've been building, we're grinding, we're putting together, we're starting to see that fruit more and more. So I hate to talk about test scores, I hate tests, but that's, it is important to us, and that's a positive thing to share.
Congratulations.
I'm sure the concert was great tonight.
Yeah, I was just gonna say.
We had a wonderful winter concert.
We had a wonderful
I
winter
couldn't go
concert
to.
tonight.
I don't even know where my baby at right now, like, I hope she made it.
Yeah.
Okay, and item 16, we need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Josh is giving them.
Yeah, I think that's right.
What's
last time?
All right, Ms. Remington,
Yes.
Mr. Tackett,
Yes.
Mr. Webster,
Yes?
Dr. Humphries. Yes. Ms. Parazoni.
Yes. Thank you folks for being